Hey everyone, it's Katrina and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, I just woke up. I still have my retainers on, so you might hear a little bit of a lisp. Today, I will be filming a Get Ready With Me Q&A with the questions you all asked. And instead of doing a typical Get Ready With Me where I'm doing my makeup, I thought it'd be fun to try something new and do a Get Ready With Me for the day. And so I'll go through some of the steps that I do in the morning as I answer your questions. So the topic you all chose was navigating adulthood, and to be honest, I was very nervous and anxious about this topic being chosen because I just feel not very adulty, and I just didn't know the kind of questions that would be asked, but you all asked some really great questions, so I'm going to do my best and hope you all enjoy this video. So if you see me looking at my phone, it's because I have all the questions here, and then last night I outlined all my answers, so I might take a look to reference it. The first question is, what is the most surprising thing about adulthood? It's surprising that I'd still feel so much like a kid, that there's still so much I don't know or I'm just beginning to learn. And I guess at 27, I thought I would just be more stable in my career, more secure in myself. And sometimes I see people on social media and I know that I shouldn't be comparing, but it's just, things that I know and I want to just acknowledge that I feel this way sometimes. Where they're my age or younger or a lot younger than me. And I know some of them are like famous, rich, so it's a different story, but they're out there buying their own homes already. They've been working in the workforce for many years. Like so many of my friends have been working since the minute, they finished college. And I am here living with my parents, which is not like a bad thing. Most of my peers also live at home. But I quit my job earlier this year, and that was my very first full-time job, and I didn't even make it a year before I left. And so I think it's just surprising because I envisioned myself being further along in many ways. Here I am. I don't even have my car right now, so I'm not driving very much. But one thing I am trying to practice is to be more self-compassionate, to really show myself more compassion, because although it's slow, I am still learning and making progress and moving forward. So I want to celebrate and recognize that too. We'll take a sip of water. And then let's go to step number 2. Well, first, let's make my bed. These Uniqlo heat techs are my eye mask. You can reference my November 2020 recommendations. First thing I do is clean my retainers with a little bit of scissors. So the next question is, things you wish you knew going into your mid-20s. I think I will tweak this question a little bit. So I'm going to say things I wish I knew going into my 20s, and honestly even a little bit before that. I wish I knew that I could have had a social life and go out and have fun and also be serious and excel in work or school. I think in college and grad school and even in high school before that, I was always the person that said no to social gatherings because I was saying yes to other obligations, whether it was school, work, or extracurriculars, or my family. I remember once I interviewed for this internship in college and they asked, what would you do if your friends, they were asking you to hang out, but you had work to do? And I had told them that wouldn't even be a conflict for me because all my friends know that I have no problem saying no to them. And they know that hanging out is not my priority. And now at 27, I feel like I'm just starting to go out more and I'm having more quality, fun, wholesome hangouts with my old friends, with new friends. And I wish I let myself do more of that back then when there were so many opportunities. Like for grad school, it wasn't until the pandemic hit that I realized, damn it, I didn't let myself have all those opportunities to go explore and have fun because I chose grad school and I chose, doing the things that I needed to do. And I said, oh, after graduation, I'll let myself do that. And I'm not saying that I regret prioritizing school. I just feel like I could have had a better balance of doing both. It wouldn't be choosing fun over school. It would be to know that I could have done both in more of a capacity of the fun side. And it's not to say that I didn't have fun or didn't go out at all either. But I think compared to a lot of people, I didn't do quite as much. Okay, so before the next question, I'm going to get ready for my walk. Tie my hair up again, I forgot. I like to wash my face with water a little bit. Whoa, oh my goodness. Good catch. Now my sunscreen. Because I wear a hat, I just try to get my hair out of my face. So I'll answer one more question and then go out for my walk. What do you see as pros and cons of not being very adulty? So like I mentioned, I was really nervous for this video because I feel like I'm not very adult-like, and I was afraid people would ask stuff about like personal finance, investments, taxes, all these things. And honestly, it's one of my biggest insecurities. I don't think I've shared it, but I don't know much about that stuff at all because my mom is an accountant and she enjoys helping me with so much of that and has been helping me with that all my life. And just recently, I've been starting to take, this task by myself and then start to learn this one and then let me do this one. And I'm slowly learning, but I just feel like I'm miles, years behind my peers who had no choice but to learn it on their own. And I feel very privileged, but at the same time, it's hard to think about like pros internally because I'm constantly beating myself up for all the things that I don't know and the things that I'm lacking in this field of, just doing things on my own for myself. But I guess like a selfish pro is that I'm able to take care of myself more because I don't have that responsibility of financially taking care of my parents, that I'm able to save money, pay them back slowly and take care of my loved ones in different ways. And yeah. All right, so now we're gonna go on our walk. I realized that I forgot the last chunk of my last answer. In terms of, not being as adulty, it's not that I'm unable to do things. Like I can drive to somewhere if I needed to, or I can cook if I needed to, I can go to the bank if I needed to. But am I great at it or confident at any of it? Not at all. And I think that just adds so much to my insecurities and feeling like I'm not really an adult because those things don't come supernatural to me yet, and I just don't feel very confident in it, if that makes sense. I'll take off my sunglasses so it could be a little bit more personable. So the next question is, how have you changed over the course of adulthood? And I think I have put more of a focus on family, which might seem like to some people like, I feel like you've always been a family person, and that is true. My parents, my grandparents are my life, but I don't think that that was always the case, at least not to the extent that it is today. In high school and in college, I would spend time with my parents. I would come home, spend time with my family, but I didn't always think of them like I am now. And suddenly in these recent years, it feels like they have just aged so much, like right before my eyes. And I look back at pictures from even 5-6 years ago, and I just notice how different they look. And I'm sure they feel and see the same thing. And it's just so shocking and heartbreaking to me. And I think that being an adult has meant to really shift my mental responsibility. The mental, emotional, physical well-being of my parents, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents weighs so much more heavily on me now than ever before. And because of that, I'm constantly thinking about the ways I can show up for them, whether it's to spend more time with them, to take them out, like when thinking about my future home, to live near them. It's nuanced, it's complex, filled with, decades of familial trauma and history here and there, but family is something that just weighs so much more heavier on me now, and it has been increasingly so as I move further along into adulthood. And I think I see the same thing for my parents. They're very much in their adulthood, and I think family has constantly meant more and more to them as the years go on. And I think by seeing that, it sparks that same thing within me. But I'm just like at an earlier stage with my parents than they are with their parents. But it's all the same. It's this responsibility that you feel, in your heart, and that you want to do more for them. You want to do what you can. And it looks different per generation, but that filial piety just keeps growing stronger. So now I'm back. I'm gonna wash my face, do my skincare, answer another question, and then I'm gonna head to make or put together some lunch. So I'm going to attempt to do my skincare and answer the next question simultaneously. So I'll just show like the skincare products that I use. I use the Crave Beauty cleanser. And the next question is, how do you find the courage to be so vulnerable on the internet? How do you not get bothered by other people's comments? So I wasn't always so vulnerable on the internet. I think starting my YouTube channel is really what sparked like being just vulnerable at all, because before, when I was in high school, I would post tons of statuses about the fundraiser, stuff like that, but I never felt that it was like a vulnerable thing to do. In 2016, that's when I started posting stuff on YouTube, and that's when I started feeling really anxious. I was really excited at the thought of posting, but it was just so scary to think about, posting an outfit of the week video or even my very first video. Yep, this is what happens when I have no outline. I just kind of start rambling. But I just wanted to say that the first step of really building that courage, I think, was my YouTube channel and making that separate, Instagram, which is now the Katrina Stacie Instagram, and just starting to post my stuff on there. I wasn't like spilling, my deepest, darkest thoughts, but just by posting myself, that was a huge step of, vulnerability. And then I started becoming even more vulnerable in terms of the content that I was sharing, I think in like 2019. And that was already like 3 years into my YouTube channel. And I was just always so scared to share my opinion. Like growing up, I always felt like I was not smart enough, I was not informed enough, I couldn't really say what I felt or what I thought, because oftentimes I didn't even know what I felt or what I thought. And the fear of judgment, of hate, of being wrong, of, being ridiculed, that was so debilitating, so anxiety-inducing that I would just not share. I wouldn't share what I thought in school, wouldn't be the one to participate in class, but slowly, each time that I would share something, and I felt my entire body like shake of anxiety and fear, but I would still do it. And then after I posted, I still felt like my body literally is shaking. When I'm so scared, but I do it anyways, that's where I start to build a little bit more confidence and courage. And with each time that, I get so scared, I share something anyways, I realized that it felt good to be vulnerable. It felt good to share. And in my life, whether it's publicly or personally, privately to, individual people, I'm lucky in that, how do I say this? Being vulnerable has been advantageous to me, whether it's alleviating my own anxiety or just like deepening my relationship with others. I have been rewarded by being vulnerable. And you know, it's just human nature to repeat the actions in which we've been rewarded. And to that second part of the question, how do I not get bothered by other people's comments? I definitely do get bothered. Sometimes comments bother, hurt, scare me, and it really depends on the comments. Like sometimes I get so heated, so mad when I receive racist, sexist, you know, comments, and I usually take that opportunity to write back and try to like school that other person, but I am shaking as I do it. Like I'm filled with so much heat in me. Other times they're super weird, creepy, and I'm very liberal with my block button, but I still get bothered. Like I'm not someone, oh, block and like whatever. Some of them are really pervasive and weird, and they do bother me sometimes, but I think the comments that hurt the most are the ones that poke at something that I'm already insecure about, or I've already been kind of beating myself over, feeling guilty about. And the most recent one is anything revolving around my identity as a teacher. There was recently someone who commented on one of my videos saying, but you're not a teacher anymore, remember? And another person who DM'd me saying that, oh, they followed me because they thought I was a teacher. And that was when I was actually teaching in summer school. So I was just, I don't know, just taken aback. And the reason why it hurts is because I'm grappling with that identity crisis and question right now as well. Like I feel sad and hurt and heartbroken to not be able to call myself a teacher because I'm not currently in the classroom, and it's taken me a long time like to get to the point where I finally changed my bio from teacher to educator, just so that others don't feel like I'm catfishing them or something. But it did sting a little bit, like those things sting a little bit, and I think that that's okay. You know, a lot of people, they'll be like, Katrina, F the haters. You know, every time I post about something that somebody has said and how I responded, people will be like, F the haters, don't worry about them. And I totally see where they're coming from, and I know they're trying to help me. But I think that one, it's easier said than done to just F them and don't care about them. And two, I think that it is okay to care. It is okay to be hurt or upset or angry. And feelings, like this just goes back to my thought that feelings are okay. Negative feelings are okay, and it's okay to feel those and sit in them and acknowledge that this person hurt me. What they said, you know, stung. Caring breeds empathy, and I think it's normal. It's very natural for humans to care about what other humans think. But I don't think that that feeling of hurt or sadness or anxiety needs to stop me from still doing what I'm doing or what I want to do. Over time, I do get less bothered by certain comments. In different stages of my life, different comments may affect me differently depending on, you know, my current state. But I don't need to let those comments stop me from moving forward, because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to these anonymous comments, anonymity builds this courage in people to say whatever the heck they want. And I need to remember that sometimes too. You know, a lot of people, they admitted it to me, they literally go and leave troll comments to try to get a reaction out of the person. And they're sometimes like, whoa, I didn't expect such like a thoughtful response. You know, you're just like a well-meaning person, like have a nice day. And so people are out there to literally just try to bother other people and get them irritated. But I think it's also an opportunity to let them know, whether they take it away with them or not, that they have a responsibility as a commenter as well. It's not just on the person who's putting themselves out there like, well, you should have known, you know, you're entering this territory of the online world. No, people commenting also have a responsibility to be decent human beings, whether they will or not. The responsibility does not fall solely on the person who's putting themselves out there. That's what I believe. So. Okay, so this battery is dying. I'm charging the other battery, so let's see if I could do a little switcheroo. You're eating oatmeal, Mom?
Oatmeal. And then what you got? Pia. Yeah, so yeah.
Alright, on my best work days, I have both a full water bottle and a tea. I'm gonna take off my glasses because there's a glare. I think this is the first full video I've done with my DSLR where I'm not wearing any makeup, but it's okay. Next question is, what would you tell 18-year-old you? And so I wrote this answer as if I was talking to my 18-year-old self. It's so funny because you're both confident and somewhat of a know-it-all, yet so riddled with insecurity, but it's okay. You're going to learn so much in every step of life after this, and you're going to do things you can't even imagine right now. You'll date someone you just met, you'll have some fun, wild experiences, you're gonna get over K-pop and Tumblr one day. You'll surprise yourself with how well you'll do in college and how much you're capable of. You're gonna get with Ryan Ho. Lamau, what? High school was amazing and you really made those years count, and it's okay to be sad that it's ending, but there's still so much more to come. You're going to remain friends with the friends that you have now, and you're going to grow so much that you won't even remember your outlook on life right now, because all you're going to know 10 years from now is how to be honest with yourself and your feelings. I get kind of emotional reading the end of that because so earlier this year I found a letter that I wrote to myself when I was 18 or when I was 17. Let me pull it up and then I can talk about it. So I wrote this in 2012 and so I was 17. I'm not going to read all of it, but there was this bit at the end that really surprised me, and it said, "Smile a lot. A lot of people say they don't know what you'd look like not smiling. That's good. Hide your sorrow, hide your anger sometimes. Don't let it affect those around you because you hate people like that. Be good. See you soon." And I don't know, I felt so sad reading that because I don't even remember that I was like that, but I guess I was like that, where I didn't want whatever I was feeling to impact those around me. I didn't want to share negative feelings. I didn't want to have it ruin the vibes of the people around me because I guess I didn't like that when that happened to me. And I think one huge way I've grown in adulthood is to be more in tune with my emotions. It's okay to have so many emotions. It's okay to feel deeply, whether it's positive, negative, whether it's love and heartbreak, grief, all those things. It's okay to feel as deeply as I do and to share that with others. And I think society stigmatizes emotion so much. So it was definitely, ingrained in 18-year-old Katrina to not show that vulnerable side. So it's wild to think my 18-year-old me couldn't have imagined what I'd be doing right now. The next question is, compare your relationship with your parents now versus 5 and 10 years ago. So I'm 27 now. I'll talk about how I felt at 17 and how I felt at 22. And this is just going off what I think I remember. So to preface all of this, I think that compared to a lot of my peers, I am pretty close to my parents. I definitely have a closer relationship with my mom in that I share more things with her. And I think it's often easier for daughters to talk with their moms, but also my dad is just sometimes really awkward and will ignore me when he doesn't know what to say. I remember one time, years ago, I had told him that I broke up with somebody and it was so awkward. Neither of us knew what to say and it was like a silent car ride home. But I know that both my parents are interested in my life, so I just tend to initiate and overshare or just share in general, and maybe compared to my peers it's definitely oversharing, but I just do try to keep them updated. 10 years ago, I was 17, just starting my senior year of high school. My sister just left to go to UC Berkeley for college, and I felt somewhat like this burden of they're stuck with their second and least favorite daughter. And I don't think that I thought too much about my parents and their lives back then when it wasn't in conjunction with my own, if that makes sense. I don't think I thought so much about what I could do for them. They were just kind of there, we would interact, we would talk, we had a pretty good relationship, but they weren't my focus. So at 22, I just moved back home from undergrad, and I think it's always kind of challenging and frustrating when you've been independent for 4 years and then you move back home and all of a sudden there's a lot more of these, rules and the way things are. A lot of these things are not mine, and just kind of navigating that. There were good times, but I also remember some really frustrating times and a couple of really big fights. I think I was in my very, gung-ho, like I learned so much, I'm more progressive now, and it's time to like share all that I've learned and change my parents to how I could see they could be better. And I think that was the problem, because you get that, you mix that with the delivery of things not being super gentle, you mix that with all of our tempers, of all of the, childhood trauma, whatever that has come up, the generation gap, and it just blew up sometimes. And so family has always been, core value of mine, but it has been more turbulent in certain phases. And I feel like now I still, get into little bits with my parents in these recent years, but I think now I'm thinking a lot more about who they are beyond just my parents. They're siblings, they are children, they're co-workers, they're employees, they're friends, and I've asked them a lot more about, their work, their parents, their childhood and teenage years, and it gets them excited. They're so excited to talk about it, to recall all these memories and experiences they've had, and there's so much that I can, learn from them. And with all of that, I'm thinking a lot more about things we can do, as in me and my sister. I'm prioritizing paying my parents back right now for the money that they've lent me to go to school. I want to take them on vacations, on trips. I want to give them a break. I want to support them. And I just feel a greater sense of responsibility, especially because in many, many ways, they're still taking care of me. They're still taking care of their parents, and no one's really there taking care of them. So I think I'm also learning more and more about how complex parent-child relationships are, how similar I am to my parents, both the good and the bad traits, and how my goal shouldn't be to change them, but to gain a better understanding of them and why they are the way they are. And so that's how my relationship with them has evolved in the past decade. All right, so I'm about to get to work, but I just want to do the last question. Are you proud of yourself? And honestly, yes, I am. I know that I mentioned feeling so behind and so lacking, and that is true. But I'm also incredibly proud of the person that I've grown to be. And I am far from perfect. I'm far from where I thought I'd be, and I'm far from where I want to be. But even where I'm at now, mentally, emotionally, physically, career-wise, emotionally, did I say that already? Maturity, I am proud of myself. So we'll end on that note. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, if you related, if you want to share any of your answers to these questions, if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!